Brandon Aiyuk, for those of you who are not on Instagram all afternoon, here's the very Cliff's notes of how this has all gone. Brandon puts out on his IG story, and guys, correct me if I get a little bit of the wording wrong, but something along the lines of the eyeball emoji and don't forget what got you here. Was that what it was, essentially? Don't forget what... And everyone, this is the normal thing, and it's the most wide receiver thing ever. Debo, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, on and on. We're going to go to social media, and we're going to start... We're not going to scrub Instagram yet, but we're going to start with a mysterious message so that people go, what's he mean? Is he mad? Or did he just want to thank his Uber driver who took him to the game? I don't know. But then it seems to get confirmed that Brandon is trying to put a message out because his girl puts on a TikTok from inside the car outside Levi's Stadium, and she's sort of, the way her eyes go, it makes it look like Brandon is sitting right next to her in the car. You can't see him, but she puts her eyes on him and kind of references him. And she's like, well, I don't even know. This might be the last thing we ever do at Levi's Stadium because we don't know if we're going to even be here next year. Keep in mind, he's under contract.
Yeah.
He's in the same boat that Nick Bosa was last year. He's extension eligible. He can't just leave if he wants to, unless you ask his brother, who also went to Instagram and essentially, with other words, wrote, "We out. Bleep you. We out." Okay.
He can hold out.
He can hold out.
I think he's making $14 million next year, his fifth-year option.
That's not a good idea for him. And the fact that this is coming up 6 minutes after the Super Bowl ended, what the hell are we doing? What's even going on? And for me as a fan, I got to tell you, all of this stuff, Feliciano versus Burford, Aiyuk over here on Instagram, the players coming out being like, I didn't know the OT rules. The whole thing feels like a little bit of a gut punch because we spent all year going, it's just so kumbaya. They all like each other, and boy, they're just so buttoned up, and they're all working together and well coached, and they're a fraternity. And it's like, guys, the Super Bowl ended, and 3 seconds later, we got social media battles. We got mysterious IG stories going out. We got players being like, I don't know what the hell was going on out there. Coach never told me a thing. What the hell is going on?
It's a little bit of a mess, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't see Nick Bosa coming out saying, well, we didn't know that play was going to be a possibility. We weren't prepared for that.
Yeah, use it twice.
You've got Feliciano and Burford. You've got Aiyuk intimating through his people that he wants out and all the rest of it. And this is all within, 36 or 48 hours of the Super Bowl where you played pretty well and you fought Mahomes all the way through 5 quarters, 75 minutes of football, and he was just maybe one play better. And this is how you're going to react? It's shocking, Mark.
Well, it means it's not about just that. It's not like, okay, could Brandon just be frustrated because of a Super Bowl where he only had 3 catches and was running by himself in the end zone on what could have well been the game-winning, championship-winning play? Sure, maybe it's just frustration talking. And we've already, as 49er fans, been through the whole wide receiver on Instagram situation, and it ended up fine. Debo Samuel is now well paid and still very much a 49er with the boom box all there right behind him. So maybe this all goes away, but it's unsettling. There's no two ways about it. John Lynch. Oh, yeah, what's up?
I got more. So Aiyuk, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, which we'll hear from in a little bit, doing their end-of-season pressers. So are the players in the locker room. The audio quality isn't great, but I can explain to you or tell you what Aiyuk did say. He was asked if he wants to remain a 49er, and he said, quote, if it's the right move. The follow-up was, what would that right move look like? And he paused and then said, being a champion.
Oh, that's not good at all.
Right. So if you win...
That's a shot at the coaches.
Right. Being a champion.
That's a shot at the coaches.
Right. Because Kyle can't win the big one. That's what he's saying.
Well, he's
that's what he's basically saying. If we're going to be champions, then I'll stay.
But he's also saying we would be champions if you involved me more.
Right.
A 1,300-yard receiver who's a teammate with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle, he believes that he's not involved enough?
In the big game, the biggest game.
Jesus.
Not involved enough. And he had...
I mean, I would have loved to see him more involved,
6 targets, 3 catches.
I would have loved to see everybody more involved. You know, George Kittle got 2 balls for 4 yards.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I didn't see this going this way.
Me either, especially as far as, we all felt like Brandon Aiyuk had come from the doghouse days, even though Kyle said, I don't have a doghouse and stuff. Brandon Aiyuk was not in the same light as he was this year, and 1,300 yards receiving, and he was the guy, and the route running, and BA, and yeah, he's going to get an extension, no doubt. And now this is the way we react?
This is a terrible answer. For anybody who wants Brandon Aiyuk to be a 49er going forward, this is a terrible answer.
Well, for him, if he wants to be a 49er going forward.
2 opportunities to say I want to be a 49er, and he wouldn't take either one.
Right. And he's under contract is the thing. So
right, but he can play hardball. So is Debo.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And Debo came in and Bosa came in.
It's extension time. And
right.
Brandon didn't even, my God, he didn't even let everybody get to their hotel.
Right.
Before he started the negotiation. At least the Debo thing, Nick Bosa, that took a second. All right, you want to hear what John Lynch said about it?
Totally.
John Lynch, Aiyuk extension. Is it a priority?
Yeah, you have to prioritize all these things. Brandon's entering his 5th-year option. Brandon's been a fantastic player for us. Kyle calls him a warrior all the time because of the way he goes out and competes, and that shines through anybody who, whether you're a trained eye or whether you're a fan, you can see the passion he plays with. You can see the production that he's had. We're extremely prideful in what he's become, and he should be as well. And so your team is comprised of guys, veterans who've been paid very well, of guys who want to be played very well. We got one guy on our team who pretty prominent who can't be played very, real well right now because the CBA doesn't allow. So it's all one big puzzle. We've developed a good cadence over the years, Kyle and I, where he focuses on the season. We do all the planning, and then we present things to him, and we work through it. And that's what we'll continue to do. But of course, you want a guy like Brandon Aiyuk to be a part of you going forward.
I'm not very committal either. The only reason that one bugs me is because I've listened to John Lynch answer this question before about other people, and that's not what it sounded like. Yeah, sure, you want Brandon on your team, the warrior. Got a lot of people. Got one guy we're not even allowed to pay yet.
Right.
You know what would be fun, Grandy? And take your time, no rush, I'm throwing this at you. I'd love to hear how John Lynch answered that question with regard to Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel over the last 2 years.
Yep.
The exact same question. And put them side by side.
And let's get that within 5 minutes, Grandy.
Or 4.
Not 5, not 6.
Because my memory tells me that
the vibe was different.
John was like, don't you worry about Nick. Oh, we put a truckload of cash we put it under our bed.
Right.
Because we love Nick. And Debo was like, that guy's he's a huge part of our team. And the 49ers, outside of the exception of DeForest Buckner, have built a reputation for if we draft you and you're amazing.
An A-lister.
You stay.
Yeah.
And something's going on that we didn't know about.
Right.
Between Brandon Aiyuk and the 49er organization.
And maybe
both of them stepped into these answers and kind of went, hey.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, if Brandon wants what he might command on the market, which would be
at least 25.
Let's say, I was going to say 5 and 100 with, $55 million guaranteed.
5 and 100?
That's 20 a year.
Oh, God, no, it's going to be way higher than that.
Maybe it's 4 and 100.
Yeah, 1,300 yards. Debo's making 24.
Right.
You can get more than that.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Probably or possibly, but let's just say he gets 4 and 100 as the mark that he might command, and $55 million guaranteed. If you're the Niners, do you really want to pay another receiver that much? And you look at what he did in the postseason. He had 3 catches against Green Bay, 3 against Detroit, and 3 against Kansas City. 1 touchdown. Now, is that because he's not very good? Of course not. It's because The Niner offense is not predicated on using a lot of wide receivers to catch balls. You've got Debo, you've got Kittle, you've got McCaffrey, and you're going to have to pay Purdy at some point. So maybe it's just as simple as Aiyuk is going to be a victim of the salary cap.
I'm looking at some of the other top receivers in the game, and there is something that stands out, okay? Listen to this. This is a cool exercise.
Okay.
Brandon Aiyuk is 1,342 yards this year. That was seventh in the league.
Yeah.
Okay? Listen to the targets, okay, for 1 through 6.
Okay.
And then listen for when we get to Brandon. Targets. This is just attempts at the receiver, not catches. Tyreek Hill, 171.
Woo.
CeeDee Lamb, 181.
Jeez.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, 164. Puka Nacua,
192.
160. A.J. Brown, 158. DJ Moore, 136. Brandon Aiyuk, 105.
105.
It's just over 6 a game.
Right. He did miss one game.
Yeah.
So.
No, I already did with the 16
Okay,
instead
good.
of the 17.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
six.
you.
It's 6.5 a game.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And he thinks it's not enough.
Right.
He might have a point,
Well,
but
you were a Super Bowl team.
yep.
You were in overtime in the Super Bowl, and you had a chance to win the game.
Apparently he wants to be a Chief. I bet they'd love a wide receiver.
Maybe he wants to be a Panthers, or maybe he wants to be a Texans.
Good luck, dude.
Well, maybe he wants to go somewhere where he can get 170 targets
He wants to get paid. He
Right.
wants to get paid.
But he also wants the ball.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about wide receivers, they want the ball. They all want the ball. I've never met or heard of a wide receiver who's like, you know what? 6 targets a game, I'm good with that.
But he said he wants to be a champion.
Right. But he wants to get the money.
Okay.
And he wants the ball.
Is the sound quality good enough?
Yeah, you can understand it.
Okay. Here's Aiyuk asked if he wants to be a 49er moving forward, and this is from CBS Bay Area with Matt Lively.
Is your hope to remain with the 49ers moving forward?
If that's the right move, yeah.
What would that right move look like for you?
Being a champion?
If that's the right move,
Being a champion.
what would the right move look like? Being a champion.
What would being a champion entail? Throwing me the gosh darn football.
The answer's-
More than 3 times.
It's not even now. This is why I love playing stuff like this. And Grandy, good stuff. Thanks for getting
Great
this
job,
for us.
Grandy. Good hustle.
I want to know.
I don't love Mark Grandy, but I respect him.
Yeah, I do too.
Shrug.
I
a drop.
want to not only know what they said, I want to know how they said it. A little terse. That's a little quick. It's a little terse. You want to be a 49er? If that's the right move, what would that look like? Being a champion? Okay, bud. Who?
Well, you won the George Halas Trophy.
Yeah.
Is that good enough for you?
Somebody pooping your Cheerios? Like what's going on? What's going on? I did not see this coming.
I didn't either.
Didn't you think Brandon Aiyuk was happy this year? I thought he was happy this year.
Well, he was happy when he was getting the ball and he was top 10. He was top 7 in yards. What happened to the playoffs, Mark? 3 catches for 32 in a win over Green Bay, 3 for 68 in a win over Detroit, his only touchdown in the postseason, and 3 for 49 in a Super Bowl loss, including him being wide open in the end zone where he scores the touchdown on that play. They win the game, and he's that guy. He's Mecole Hardman.
He had 5 more targets than Justin Jefferson this year.
Justin Jefferson missed 9 games.
Justin played 10 games.
Oh, so he missed 7 games. I
Played
apologize.
10 games. If you go down the target list, Justin has got 100. Brandon Aiyuk's 105. And you have to go all the way down to number 24 on the list to find someone who's under 100 targets. You know who it is? George Kittle.
George Kittle.
George Pickens, who was upset the entire year and played for a team that hates throwing the ball, had 1 more target than Brandon Aiyuk. But he also averaged 17.9 yards per catch, which I would argue has something to do with the system, the team,
Right.
and the quarterback.
Right. And where did that rank? And it's hard to tell because some guys would have like 3 catches for.
He's number 2 behind George Pickens.
Okay.
George Pickens, though, did it in 63 catches, Brandon in 75.
Right.
Pickens had 1,140 yards. Aiyuk had 1,342. Pickens 18.1, Aiyuk 17.9. The only other 2 over 17 per catch, Amari Cooper and Noah Brown, who only had 33 catches for the Texans.
Right. And this may be as simple as, posturing, contract posturing. Normally you don't see that this quickly after the Super Bowl, but clearly he's frustrated. You heard the sound, right? Brandon Aiyuk is frustrated.
One more from John Lynch, asked if they plan to keep all of their high-priced players this offseason.
Yeah, there's some challenges. I hope so. I think we're set up to do that. It takes putting the whole thing together, and there's also things we have to plan for, going forward. So you can't just be reckless. We never will be. It goes back to the draft being so critical because those guys, making and contributing to your team are very critical. But it goes back to the whole piece. So it's early. We've been obviously looking and planning for these things. Now we get to include Kyle and his staff on those talks, and we'll have a great plan moving forward.
I got a whole new feeling about the 49ers. This is not the way I thought the offseason was going to start.
Right. I mean,
At all.
You
At
go
all.
from, great effort, Super Bowl or try again, and now it's Super Bowl and I'm going to be sick. You got offensive linemen fighting. You've got a wide receiver who's under contract, who's open for an extension, who doesn't sound happy. You've got a Harvard-educated fullback who doesn't know the OT rules, and you've got your pass rusher who is basically saying we weren't prepared for the 4th down run from Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and you get a mixed bag at the wide receiver position in terms of when you're in this situation, what's the right thing to do? The Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. They were right.
Yeah.
They have gone 7-0 in the playoffs since then. They have won 2 Super Bowls. And they have a truckload of picks still making them from that deal, and one of them was Rashee Rice. Okay? A.J. Brown left. I'd argue that the Eagles were fantastic in large part because of him when they were good. DK Metcalf stayed. Deebo Samuel stayed. Niners went to the Super Bowl. Mixed bag. All right.